What is up? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Shred Show Live. Anytime you get two Joshes together, it makes a right. And I always love hanging out with Josh Friend, CEO of InSellerate, because especially when it comes to these conversations, ladies and gentlemen, you know that here at Shred, we focus on creating value. We want to have the conversations with the leadership, with the executives who are making a difference, who are making an impact. And we're sharing and we have these conversations because we want to see you thrive. We want to see you succeed, especially in changing times. We're seeing innovation. We're seeing new technology. And that is going to be our conversation today is in this world of tech growth, things are evolving, things are changing. And if you don't understand the foundational bits and pieces, and if you don't understand where things are going, you may be left in the dust. So I'm going to have Josh, we're going to have a conversation today to really help you get in the right mindset, to really have the tech that is going to help you with the future of our industry. Ladies and gentlemen, you are not going to want to miss this. Are you ready? Are you ready? It is time to shred. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Shred Show. So excited, as always, to hang out with Josh Friend. It's not just because he's another Josh, it's because he always has there's so many insights. And Josh, you and I have talked about this on the show before. You're an industry professional through and through. You've been in this business a long time. You understand it from so many different aspects, from being in the trenches, of being an originator, to everything in between. And now, what InSellerate is doing is so incredibly impactful. And our conversation today, I think, especially in an evolving industry, in evolving markets, we need to, tech is one of those words, fintech is flung around so frequently that we almost misunderstand what fintech is. We almost misunderstand what is actually making an impact in our business. So that's going to be a lot of the basis of our industry today, is because tech has changed, Josh. You know this, I know this, and especially being a tech company in and of itself, like tech has absolutely changed from where it was when you and I started.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You know, but first, thanks for having me on, and I always love the enthusiasm. I should have you call me every morning, wake me up, and get me out of bed.
Calling you before you go to the
But tech is evolving. Think about this: just the term fintech. That's only happened in the last handful of years, and it means something different. It doesn't mean a software system built 20 years ago that's in the financial industry that doesn't mean that that's fintech. Fintech is about making frictionless processes, new innovation, letting consumers interact digitally on their terms and the ways they want to interact, right? Digitizing processes. That's the fintech world, right? And it's not, it's not the same thing from 20 years ago. It's the new way and new innovation. I think that's something that a lot of people really need to look at is, you're not going to continue, and you're not going to, what wins this industry, you have to know is going to technology. There's no question. Everything. AI is going to come in before there won't be underwriters, right? Because there'll be AI, they'll underwrite files. There won't be processors. There'll be bots, automate everything. It's going to be it's going to be the humans. It's going to be the people that actually interact and talk to consumers or loan officers. But technology is going to take over the space because it's an efficiency play. It costs, you said I've been in the industry for 23 years. I remember my first mortgage company. We paid our costs to fund, process, ship, QC, draw docs, everything, and operational close a loan was like under $700. Right now, that number's like, I don't know, $4,000. So it's just, innovation. What's going to win the market in the future isn't going to be what we just went through. Is all right. We're going to teach underwriters to be faster, or we're going to, we're going to incentivize them more. It's going to be something new. That's what innovation. It's going to be. And it's going to change. And, lenders have to start realizing that that's what's going to win in this marketplace. And, it is coming.
Do you think that's the holdup? Dude, you literally just opened like this Pandora box in my mind, Josh. It's just like, oh my gosh, because fintech, that word in and of itself has just come around in the last few years. Since you and I started, that wasn't a thing when you and I got started in this industry. That was just like, meh. And you look at some of the companies, and we're not here to speak ill. We're not here to even but the evolution of our industry from when you and I started taking applications and when we were filling out 1003s and helping our borrowers with that process, to see how even that much has changed and is evolved. evolved, and what we've seen even during the COVID pandemic, how companies have evolved and changed and starting putting that. And like you said, the cost of doing business has just evolved so much. So when it comes to technology in particular, if you're not looking for efficient opportunities to become more efficient, to become more streamlined, to even cut costs in certain aspects, and to have the right, and it may be not even cutting costs, Josh, it's just even having the right tools and technology in place that can help you thrive in an evolving market.
That's right. No, it's definitely having the right tools in place and coordinating the tools in place. And you're right. These past providers in our industry, they're great. I mean, I take a look at, let's say, for example, Calix Point. If you're a loan officer, if you've been in a loan officer for very long, you've probably at some point used Calix Point. I use it for a handful of years.
Me too.
It has served millions and millions and tens of millions of consumers have gotten mortgages because of that product. So, but it has changed. And when it was originally built, it didn't really have a database. And so there's these limitations that's why it has never evolved or grown. And so other systems have similar things where there's just fundamentally 20 years ago, I've been in technology. I mean, technically I have my certificate from junior high in 1989 that I got my certificate for programming excellence. So I've been a programmer for a lot of years. It's just changed. The standards have changed. The way we did things 20 years ago, where we do things today, it's in the last 5 years, it's changed. The cloud, Amazon's cloud, Microsoft's Azure platform, having stuff in the cloud, what that actually means is drastically changed technology as well. So you have to really, look at leveraging. That's why there's so many technology providers now, and they're not necessarily in San Francisco or Silicon Valley. It's because of everything's changed. We have the cloud. So, you need to start looking at, well, if that's changing, we're no longer driving manual transmission cars, or we're no longer, driving diesel car, or whatever the movement has been. I better figure out what's the new 8-tracks. Well, I better stop producing 8-tracks or CDs because no one's buying those anymore. What's the next product I need to be producing if I'm making digital media?
Well, that's just it. And you and I have talked about this, is like, look at Barnes and Noble. Look at how Amazon, look at how Audible has taken over. Like, Barnes and Noble is not, like, I don't even know if they exist anymore. But again, they weren't willing to evolve. And I say this
and technology and yeah, that's right. Technology is what crushed them.
Yeah, that's what I mean, is technology crushed them. And here's the thing, and I'm trying to be respectful of this, of everybody in our industry, but we're slow adopters as mortgage, like as lenders, as we talk about fintech, and it almost is this kind of this hype word, if you will, but it's fintech this and tech, but we're so slow to adopt it. It's like, well, are we as focused on tech? You even mentioned, are some of the lenders, are some of the providers, are some of the different, the services that are out there really, like, are they focused on the new wave, or is it just the hype word? Is it just what people are excited about, but they're not actually adopting?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things. It's people don't want to learn and grow and learn new things at times. But the truth is, it's also that it's not necessarily that tech has been super easy all these years.
Ooh, that's true.
So it's not, I was a loan officer. I was at IndyMac Bank, and they had a lot of technology. They had this program called eMITS. You could take an application online. It was a POS. It did everything, gave you an approval, ran DU, credit, took a credit card deposit, locked in your rate. You could upload documents or fax documents in. It did everything. That was in 1999. And it's just, it's the technology now has just evolved where that same process that we've done for 22 years, since 1999, from my 20 years, it has to change.
Yes.
It has, the financial costs for it has just gotten too great. And then, consumers actually, they're demanding it. I mean, that's the reality of it. And, we've been slow to change as an industry because I think that so much of the business has been in the hands of the originator. And meaning that the loan officer with a book of business has dominated a lot of the market for a lot of years. And so it's what do they want to do? How do they want to bring in the business? And I think that's changing as well.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that. I mean, I don't know any strong retail loan officer that's not digitally getting leads or creating digital interactions with consumers and trying to bring them through workflows, because you're a consumer. I don't care who you are. Everyone is offering them a loan. They may be outshot. I mean, I just closed on a house actually this week, And I used Zillow for most of the time looking for the house. And guess what? The whole time I was getting ads for mortgages.
Yeah.
Of course. And, and I have a real estate agent. I have a good friend of mine who's a lender who's doing my loan for me. So I had all that, but I'm still getting marketed consistently.
Absolutely.
Everyone's going to, so there's changes on a consumer shop. There's changes in consumers' expectation. And then the technology, I remember in like 2002, I read an article in Red Heron magazine, which was a tech forward magazine. And it's kind of had this thing and said, listen, we have just begun the technology revolution. We're at the very, very start of it. We're not going to understand what this will mean for us until about 2015, 2020. It won't really start and affecting everyday life for all Americans till about 2020. Well, that's where we're here now. And it was a breakdown of, it's like the electrical grid. When electricity came out, there is DC, there's AC, there's different types of plugs. There's all these different things that lit up homes. And there's different standards. Well, eventually, as electricity was no longer a new industry, it got standardized. And so now you can, you go to any country, you know what the plug is. And if you don't have the right plug, you have an adapter because it's standardized to let your device work with that plug but 300 years ago, it didn't work like that. 200 years, whenever electricity started hitting all the countries, probably every city had its own plugs, its own adapters. And that's what technology was in 2000. 2005, 2010, then people started going, whoa, there's some standards. The cloud created ways to build software in new ways. There's ideas of how to run programming. Like we run what's called an agile method. We do 2-week sprints. We have daily scrums. It's like a whole management process of how you develop and release software. And that all got developed in the last 20. These are all new, processes. And now,
right.
So some people have jumped onto that and say, all right, now, and understand that and are using those new processes. And, those are going to be the winners in the future.
They are going to be the winners. Now, I'm taking a bunch of notes here because there's like all these points that you've hit on that I'm like, okay, we got to come back to this. We got to come back to this. But something you mentioned that I want to tangent us because I want to come back to this tech revolution that you mentioned. And I agree. It's interesting. Again, you and I mentioned from where you and I started in this industry, from using Point Calyx to some of the CRMs that were just starting. Like I remember when CRMs was just kind of a buzzword back in the day when we first started. It was like, wait, a what? Like I have my Google spreadsheet, or I remember LOs when I first started, they had like literally their files like that on their desk that they were going through. But
they still do.
They still, they're like, well, let's be honest, some of them still do. So LOs versus consumers, originators versus consumers. How much do you think that is actually driven like technology? You mentioned something that is so critically important. You and I have both referenced from adoption of technology from the Amazons of the world to just simplifying it. Have consumers led the evolution of tech within the mortgage industry, or do you think it has been the originators? Has it been the ones originating these loans for consumers? Who's really had the force?
100% been consumer pushed so far. And I think the first way consumers pushed it was by asking for loans online. Like look at Quicken and Intuit. They used to sell their mortgage leads. Intuit did. And I think Quicken rolled out of, mortgage rolled out of that company. They sold leads online. And I didn't even think we bought them because they were a tax provider and people were asking them for mortgage information. And they started selling those leads online. And then what did they do? They said, well, let's not sell them online. Let's the consumers wanting or asking us. So let's
capture it.
A whole new industry started with internet leads. Because consumers are going online asking for it. So then new technology had to be created to manage all of that. Right. So it hasn't been origination driven. It's been consumer driven. Now, what's going to happen over the next 3 years? It's going to be origination driven. It's going to be more operational driven.
Ooh.
So, I mean, we have some lenders on our platform and we understand what, cost per funded loan is by lead sources, general across where we have lenders that are, we're producing at 1/3 of the cost of everybody else. Dang. We have some people that just are high flyers in their operational costs to produce a loan and say it's under $3,000 to all in, whereas other lenders are like $9,000. So there's people out there that are really super hyper efficient, and they're using technology because they use our platform. And we see all the things they do. I mean, we have lenders that send millions of API calls a month, millions and millions of API calls a month. I just looked at a stat. We handle, I think, 900 hours of talk time every single day for our customers. Every day for our customers. Cow. We have 900 hours. We put our loan officers that use our platform speaking to our customers 900 hours a day. So, I mean, we have massive amounts of, usage in that. So, it's changing again.
That like you said, what's changing again, and what are the next 3 years? We've got to this point, and again, we've referenced this a couple of times over the last 15 years that you've been doing this a little longer than I have, but even the adoption and the changes that we've seen up to this point, we've seen slow adoption. Fintech started coming around, but I think the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to see even bigger changes than we've seen in the last 15, 20 years in our industry. But it has to, like you said, the consumer is driving this over the next few years. Efficiency, like the cost of doing loans. We all hear about margin compression. We all hear about the doom and gloom and the fear in this industry, but it's going to, we have to cut costs. If we want to continue to thrive as an industry, we have to find those efficiencies, and we have to find those pieces of technology that help us, bring down the cost of doing loans.
That's right. And what's sad is, as an industry, it's only gotten more expensive to do loans through the years, not less expensive. We've only gotten less efficient. We've gotten less. Now, regulation did cause that's definitely increased the cost to produce a loan, but not by the tune of almost tripling it.
I was gonna say, but tripling it, is
that's not the cause of it. It's yeah. So we've got less efficient. I mean, when I was a lender and we would hire new loan officers, we had a 30-day training program. We like to hire loan officers, people that had never been a loan officer, because we like to train them our way. And they go through a 30-day training program, and in that training program, 80% of the time was just trying to tell them how to get a loan approved through the LOS and get pricing done and get disclosures out. It wasn't about how to sell, the benefits of a loan, how to work with your leads, how to work with your partners, nothing. It was about, all right, let's keep practicing this. All right. No, when that doesn't work, go click that box, check that box over there. Go back, rerun it. Whoops. That's been 2 days. You got, you understand, if you've been in the industry, it's just so much of this tedious work. That's going to change. Right. That'll change. I mean, we have loan officers that spend 70, 80% of their time in our platform. They're not going into, the other platforms as much, because they can do, and that's going to change, and it's going to evolve. POSs are going to make it to where, your loan officers really don't have to be in an LOS anymore. The consumers really, everything's just getting done. It's going to all be about how do you handle your interaction with your customer.
Oh, see, I think that is the future of it, is how do you handle it? How do you make that more simple? How do you make it, again, the borrower wants an enjoyable journey when it comes to buying a home. They don't want this clunky process that has been, and we see more and more people turning to this incredible device, because all of us have it, is, what is the mobile friendly, you and I know from the Simple Nexuses to others that are really putting the processes in place to make that a more enjoyable journey. This has been consumer driven for so long. We're starting to see that shift. And for me, it's exciting. I'm excited, like you. I'm excited to see some of these new things. The cost of doing loans has to go down, especially with interest rates where they are, with everything that we're seeing in our industry. We have to start driving. And as companies like InSellerate, as guys like yourself who see it and like, hey, and you're focused, like, hey, we have to get costs down. We want to get costs down. If we don't, we're going to lose as an industry. So it's exciting to see leaders like yourself who actually understand that. There are so many, again, sometimes we're just like, oh yeah, we got money. We're throwing money left and right.
I miss being in the mortgage business.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, I ran, mortgage company for a lot of years. I really enjoyed that. I did our trades for a couple of years. So I learned how to do the trades. I enjoy that. So now it's, now I have, over 100 mortgage companies that are our partners that I'm trying to do the same thing with, right? How do we help them win? Right. Just like I was trying to help our loan officers win. I want, now I want the loan officers, all those thousands of loan officers who didn't accelerate, I want them to win.
Ooh, that's it. That's our ending note. That's why I have so much appreciation for you, Josh, is because you are in the trenches of this, and you want to see them win. You want, as a company, as InSellerate, you just as a leader, you want to see LOs win. You and I both do. We've been in the trenches. We have so much admiration and love for our industry that we want to see them win. The last thing we want to do is to see loans cost $10,000 a piece to get done. We want to see the originators. We want to see the lifeblood of our industry thrive, and it's conversations and it's value like this that we give and we're sharing and we discuss that really starts to get the right conversations. The conversations is the start of it, but why I have so much respect for you too is because you're making shit happen. You're getting out there and you're getting it done. You're not just talking about it. You're implementing. You're working with your partners. You're actually, you're devising the plans and then implementing to see it happen. So it's brilliant. Josh, I have so much respect. I am so grateful for these conversations. I'm grateful for you, for the things that you're doing out there. So yeah, much love, dude. That's why I love, yeah, you're just freaking rocking it, bro.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate that. Again, you're gonna have to call me in the morning and wake me up.
Dude, I'm gonna start calling you in the morning.
Give
Like,
me my
Josh, let's
morning.
go.
And now I was up at 5 a.m. this morning, so
That's only 6. I'm at the gym already. See, I can call you. That we're
there you
freaking
go.
hitting
Call
it.
me, get me up.
Guys, if you don't already follow Josh at InSellerate, if you guys have questions about it, like he mentioned, he is in it. That's why we love having these conversations, is because there are people in this industry who want to see you thrive. They want to see you succeed. That's why we do Shred. So, and he's going to make it happen. When you have that mindset and you're willing to make this stuff happen that needs to, we're all going to win. So with that, as always, go ahead. No, fire.
I was just going to say, hey, there's a lot of content on our YouTube channel. And if you follow us on LinkedIn, so if you want to see more of our content, and we have a lot of different stuff that might be very beneficial, you guys should definitely check that out.
Yeah, go follow him right now. Go follow him on LinkedIn. Go follow him on all the social channels. We're always, from this content, from Shred, from the content they're putting out, it is that he is like myself. Josh is willing to give because we want to see you thrive and succeed. So guys, with that, what an incredible note to end on. As always, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for all of you to go shred, go show up, hustle, repeat every day. See ya.